For the Falcone competition this year, the required piece was Flow by Benjamin Dean Taylor. It's a piece with electronic accompaniment. It's very, very well marked by the composer. There's almost a mark on every note, not quite, but it's quite well annotated as to what you should do. We should use that as a guide. I believe this piece relies on those markings, particularly dynamics and accents, to give it the character that the composer wants. So I'm going to play the first two measures in which we have notes at the beginning of the piece, the first two measures at B, and the first two measures at C. I'm going to work on just those 6 measures. The changes between them are not much. Each case has the first note accented. At the beginning we're mezzo piano, at B we're mezzo forte, at C we're forte. Those should be 3 distinct levels that the listener can hear. We don't want to play them so that we feel like we've done something unless it comes out on the recording or out in the hall to the listener. So the first thing I'm going to do is play the first few measures with no accent to see if I'm comfortable with a mezzo piano. Have I got a good mezzo piano? Okay, I think that was good. Now I'll double check that. Can I do a piano that is beneath that? I can. So I'll settle for the mezzo piano that I had. Now I'm going to add an accent. I don't want too much. I want an accent of a mezzo piano note. If you're watching the score, you notice that I wasn't counting rest between those two figures, just trying to practice them to play them each by themselves correctly. I'm going to move on now to rehearsal B. That's mezzo forte. Again, without accents at first. That's a little bit hard to do without accents because we'd like to accent the note after the slur, which is usually at an interval, a third or a fourth. And the accent would help us plant that note cleanly. We need not to do that in order to not de-emphasize the very first accent that we played. So again, I'll try it without accents. Now I'm going to add the accent on the first note and try not to change the rest of the notes. I was pretty happy with that one. I only played to the last one on this recording. I actually did several because I wasn't happy with any of those. We have to keep working until we get what we really think is right. Now, in that case, I just demonstrated a bad practice habit. I stopped after the first time I got it the way I wanted. Of course, I should have played it several more times to make sure I can do that repeatedly. To save time for this recording, I'm going to move on to C. That's similar, but now at a forte level. So again, without accents. Now I'll add the accents in. Now I'm going to play the first measure at B and the first measure at C, mezzo forte and forte. So that's the idea of practicing this piece in one sense, to make sure our foundational dynamic level for any section remains where it should be. As we express, we may go up or even down from that dynamic, but if you start a mezzo piano and you bring a phrase up a little bit to emphasize something, be careful because, as I said, the composer marked everything pretty carefully, but if you choose to do something like that and bring it up, just come back down again to mezzo piano. There's one way you can start practicing the piece. The reason I chose to do it this way, again, is that the piece is carefully marked throughout, and I feel that obligates me to be pretty honest what those markings are. By taking those 3 sections, I give myself a foundation. I can see if I'm really carrying through with what I think I'm doing, because it doesn't always come out of the instrument. But by comparing back to back, again, you're sort of your own teacher. Instead of having a teacher tell you, play softer here or play louder here, you can judge for yourself. Is my mezzo piano softer than my mezzo forte? And is my forte louder than my mezzo forte? So it's a great way to teach yourself. It's a great way to start setting a foundation for this piece. Give it a try. I think you'll enjoy playing it. Thanks for listening.